At first light, Kruger National Park looks calm enough to lull you to sleep. Then, a lion roars somewhere beyond the trees and the air reverberates with raw power. In a few hours, the roads will be full of people chasing sightings. But right now, every rustle in the bush is a reminder. In Kruger, something is always hunting, hiding, or trying not to be noticed. Kruger is massive, almost 20,000 square kilometers of rivers, thorn scrub, and savanna along South Africa's northeastern border. More than 200 mammal species and hundreds of bird species are sharing the same space, constantly watching each other, constantly adapting. To most visitors, it's the home of the Big Five. To the animals, it's a battlefield, a nursery, and a marketplace all at once. The Big Five, lion, leopard, elephant, rhino, and Cape buffalo, weren't chosen for their marketing potential. They were originally labeled as the most dangerous animals to hunt on foot. That reputation still fits. Lions here aren't just sleepy cat memes. They're coalition bosses that patrol roads like they own the franchise, roaring at rivals in the dark. Leopards play the ghost role, leaving almost no trace except for a fresh kill casually stashed in a tree over your head. Elephants turn the road into their living room, halting a whole line of cars while a calf stumbles along between massive legs. And Cape buffalo are the wild card. One old bull in the wrong mood can freeze everyone in place with a single stare. The real crowd in Kruger is the unseen one. Look up, and you'll notice vultures and eagles circling, almost bored, until something happens. A carcass anywhere in the park can turn into a summit meeting of scavengers. White-backed vultures drop in first. Then heavier lappet-faced vultures land in the center like bouncers, shouldering everyone else aside. Marabou storks hover at the edge, waiting to pick up the scraps. It looks chaotic, but it's actually hyper-efficient. In a very short time, they strip a carcass so clean that disease barely gets a chance. Predators here don't announce themselves. Leopards slip along dry riverbeds, blending perfectly with dappled shade. You might drive right past one lying on a branch above your head, tail dangling, golden eyes half closed. It looks lazy, almost bored, but everything about it is wired for that one explosive second when an unlucky antelope steps just a little too close. You might only see a flash of spots and muscle before it vanishes again, carrying the story of that moment deeper into the bush. Lions are the opposite of subtle. In the middle of the day, you might find a pride sprawled across the road itself, refusing to move, using the warm tar as their personal lounge. Cubs clamber over sleeping adults, chewing on tails and ears, practicing their future roles as hunters and rulers. A young male sits up, mane catching the sunlight, and fixes your vehicle with a look that says he doesn't care who you are or where you came from. In his mind, you're just another odd-shaped animal waiting patiently while he decides whether he feels like shifting. And then there are the elephants. You'll probably hear them before you see them. Branches snapping, leaves tearing. The low rumble of communication that you feel in your chest more than in your ears. A breeding herd steps out of the trees and the scale of everything changes. Adults move with slow, deliberate steps, ears flapping lazily, trunks exploring the air. In the middle, protected on every side, a calf waddles along, trunk too short to be useful, tripping over its own feet and hurrying to stay under its mother's belly. Sometimes they cross in front of you. Sometimes they don't care about your schedule at all. An old matriarch might pause in the road, tilting her head slightly as she studies the line of vehicles. You can almost see her making the call. Safe, not safe, annoying, harmless. Then, with a small nod you could easily miss, she turns and leads her family on, disappearing into the bush like a moving wall of gray. Down at the rivers, the cast gets even stranger. Crocodiles lie on sandbanks so still they might be carved from old wood. Only the flick of an eye or the slow slide of a tail gives them away. Hippos pack themselves into pools like giant, grunting rocks, blowing bubbles and yawning wide enough to show off teeth the size of your fingers. In the reeds, a heron stalks as if it has all the time in the world, waiting for exactly the right moment to strike. On one bank, baboons pick through the grass, babies clinging to their mothers' backs like tiny passengers on a chaotic bus ride. Everywhere you look, there's some kind of negotiation underway. Zebra and wildebeest graze together, stripes and dark bodies mixing into a moving pattern that confuses predators. Warthogs trot past with their tails high, piglets racing along behind them like tiny, panicked rocket boosters. If you're lucky, you might notice a flash of something rarer, a pack of African wild dogs, mottled coats glowing in the sun, trotting down the road in single file like a highly disciplined biker gang. When they hunt, everything changes. Impala scatter, guinea fowl explode into flight, and the bush turns into a blur of speed and dust. Overhead, the sky is just as busy. Vultures circle in wide, lazy spirals, scanning for the next meal. Eagles perch on the tops of dead trees, silhouettes sharp against the bright sky, watching everything below with patient precision. Lilac-breasted rollers flash neon blues and purples as they dart between branches, turning even a quiet roadside into a tiny fireworks show of color. If you stop and listen, the soundscape is almost overwhelming. Frogs calling from hidden puddles, crickets buzzing, birds shouting warnings and love songs into the heat. As the day wears on, the mood shifts. The bright, sharp edges of morning soften into the heavy heat of midday. You might find a lone bull elephant standing in the shade of a single tree, gently flapping his ears. A rhino may appear suddenly from behind a termite mound, larger and more prehistoric than you expect, horn catching the light as it pauses to sniff the air. Even when nothing dramatic is happening, just watching them move, thick skin creasing, ears twitching at flies, muscles rippling under armor, feels unreal. And then comes late afternoon, when everything seems to wake up again. The shadows lengthen, and suddenly, animals that were invisible all day start to appear. Kudu step quietly out of the bushes, massive spiral horns carving slow arcs above their heads. Waterbuck gather near pans and rivers, their shaggy coats glowing in the last light. Small antelope like steenbok and diker dart nervously between patches of cover, knowing this is the dangerous hour. The heat finally drains out of the day. Shadows grow long, and prey animals have to leave thick cover to graze and drink one more time before dark. That's exactly what the predators are waiting for. Lions start to stir from their daytime sleep, stretching and fanning out toward waterholes and game trails. Leopards slip down from their trees and melt into the tall grass, using the low sun and broken light to stay invisible. Even smaller hunters like jackals and hyenas become more active, trotting along roads and riverbeds, noses in the air. For impala, kudu, zebra, and all the other grazers, every step to the water is a calculated risk. There's just enough light to see movement, but just enough shadow for something with claws and teeth to disappear until it's too late. When the sun finally drops, the day doesn't end. It just changes channels. If you're in camp, you might hear hyenas whooping somewhere out in the dark, their voices rising and falling like laughter with a razor edge. Lions start calling again, staking their claims in the night. Far off, a jackal yips in sharp bursts. Bats flick past the lights, and a scops owl calls from a tree just beyond the fence, tiny but insistent. A leopard might be walking down the very road you drove earlier, paws silent on the dust. A herd of buffalo could be pushing through a river crossing under the moon, snorting and grunting as they go. Somewhere, in the middle of the darkness, something is taking its first breath, and something else is taking its last. That's what makes this place so addictive. It's a world where everything is connected, where drama and peace live side by side in every direction you look. One minute, a giraffe nibbles delicately on a tree, and the next, a lion pride passes by so closely you can hear them breathing. The name National Park hides the drama of Kruger. It's not just a park, but a whole world of truly wild and unpredictable life.